soulful call, so raw and true. Through misty hills the echoes play, chasing the ghosts of a fading day. The wind, it dances with the sound so bold, silver whispers through the cold. Mountains weep as the notes do climb, a sorrowful hymn that escapes through time. Oh, hear the cries of the rising pipes, feel the strain where the soul collides. A tune that wraps in a tartan shroud, lifting the hearts of the heavy bowed. With thirsty hills, quiet falls as the music spills, a thread of past where the future leads, carried afar by these ancient seas. A lone piper stands where the clouds kiss earth, a solitary hymn giving life its worth. Each note a tear for the ones we've missed, echoes that linger through highland mist. Breathing life where silence grows, the pipes unlock what the heart bestows. Eternal words without the sound, heavy hearts they firmly ground. Lifting the hearts of the heavy bow.
Oh yeah, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hope things are going well for you. Let me pull up Podbean. Give that just a second. And there we go. We are now live on Podbean. And happy Friday, as I was saying. Been a crazy afternoon. Hope you are well. Pray for Biscuit Boy. He is bad sick. I've been messaging with him. He's at the hospital. He's got infection of some kind. So that's all I will say. I don't feel like it would be a problem for me to say that and ask prayer. I don't think he would mind that. So the mystery is solved. He let me know early this morning that he had been sick for like 3 days. So I knew it had been radio silent. So I'm like, I hadn't heard from him. I'm like, man, I hope he's okay. I figured he was just busy. He's a busy man like all of us. So y'all pray for him. Also, prayers for a former coworker who passed away, and those services are tomorrow. And those that, I'm not going to say a name, but those that work with us, they know. If you're one of those that know, you know. And all I'm asking is for you to pray for the family. They definitely need it. So, let's get those things going. Get prayers going up. Pray for people. I got a little video I want to play and on Podbean. If you'll just hang with me just for a few seconds. I want to say I appreciate always those that I'm drinking, this great coffee tonight, this Wolf Nation coffee. And I think I've got it loaded in. I had here we go. Been a while since we've seen a video from the great one, Mr. Cook, and he sent me this message earlier, and let's put it on the screen.
Hi, this is Cowboy Cook with Wolf Nation. I'm trying the Cowboy Blend coffee, and I like it. And coffee up, pray up, God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Cook, for your purchase of the coffee, and glad he got a sampler pack. He got a couple. He had a pretty big order. God bless you, man. And he ordered a sample pack, which I always recommend because you get like 6 different blends. There's 3 different sample packs, and I did that. In fact, a couple of times, just trying different samples. I've never found anything I didn't like. I can say that absolutely. And and I've had that. I knew that'd be the way to try first. The cowboy blend, the cowboy way. Being the big Dallas Cowboy fan that he is, but he sent me that. I was like, well, praise God. I'm glad that he liked it, and you'll like it too. We'll put up the QR code later. Shipping included, man. You can't beat it. We live a street apart, and our orders came in. We ordered the same day, and they came in the same day. They were consistent in delivery. Did a lot of work at the site today or this afternoon. Got some other stuff going on. Things we're going to be adding. So just getting everything rebranded and up and going. And love coffee. And in a few days we're supporting our good friends at Horsepower Coffee, especially on the racing side, especially really within the racing. But we'll do it all over. But that's really geared. That's kind of that. And he's going to be a guest. Brent's going to be a guest. But we're going to have this. We've got an energy drink. They have one flavor right now, that kicking strawberry, and I've got a 6-pack. Back in the day, what do you want? Well, a 6-pack of them, and we're gonna check those out live on the air. We're not gonna pre-test. We're gonna try them live on the air, and I'm hoping Brent can join us live on the air and do like a promo. And I can't wait, man. I like strawberry, and I let him tell about it because I would probably butcher the telling of it. But we're going to do that live on the air, hopefully in the next racing show, if not the one after that. Shout out to Dean, all the hard work he's doing the last day. He worked today at the plant, and so he works all weekend. We'll be back live Monday night, although he may pop in somewhere along the line. Monday night for the racing show, and we got interviews galore coming up. We got some we never even got to yet, and we've added a bunch more, and we're so excited and trying to keep up with all the ones we've had there, already had in, and we're going to be having them back in, and appreciate them coming on and sharing their story. Every one of them has something different about it that just is a blessing, and they're funny, it's heartfelt. You get you get a sense of just what they've been done in their life, and the struggles, the joy, the joys, and the valleys, but you keep going, and I appreciate that, and it's just a blessing to me. Life is tough, and you just keep fighting the best you can to get through, especially, obviously with the Lord's leading. But you got to do your part, Some people just sit around and say, "Bless me, Lord, bless me." They don't do anything, They just expect, to sit and do nothing, and that's not good, not good. I got this. I don't know what I did. I got my fire to my left. I don't have it behind me, so I was running a little bit late. Had the most horrible trip, traffic-wise, I've had in a while. That. Anybody that's run that corridor from Chattanooga to Athens, Tennessee, nowadays, it's especially on a Friday. My goodness, it's horrible. But usually, once you pass Cleveland, it's okay. It's still busy, but it's okay. Well, it took us over an hour to get to Cleveland. I tell you how bad it was. Heavy traffic, but then this truck driver, he was carrying, I guess, some heavy equipment, from what I could gather as I crawled by. And somehow his load, I don't know what happened. They have a low trailer on that anyway, because it's real heavy. Those things are low to the ground. Well, something snapped or happened or whatever, and it just sunk into the asphalt, and it was still buried. I imagine that was one heck of a little ride there. Thankfully, hopefully he wasn't going fast because the traffic's heavy. That probably saved him. And so all the lanes, which there ain't but two anyway, so down to one lane with all that heavy traffic, it was a disaster. So get all the way up there, get settled, get back, and before I get back in Chattanooga, hit another And here we are. It's evening, but it's a Friday night, and another bumper to bumper trip on the way. It's like, can I just get home? a two. I felt like the USS Minnow. It was supposed to be a 2 hour tour, it turned into a 3 hour plus tour. And I was thinking, can I just get home? I just want to get home. And it's be in the bosom of my family and get on the podcast and just have some fun. This is kind of a new show. We had been there's some plans in the future. We're going to be on the back porch at Paul's. Of course, again, that we're waiting. We got to get some things set up. No matter the weather, we can do it from there. But we got some lighting and stuff we got to set up, and well, that's the plan anyway. But at other times when it's not we can't do that, we'll be here, and or I'll be here, but we'll do back porch living. It may stay on Friday night, it may not. And we did show front porch for years, and I don't want to trample on anything. I don't know what other shows are doing, but sometimes you just need to change. It was great while it lasted, and it's just we go to the back of the house a little more private. That's where the close friends are. The front porch, it's great, but anybody can walk up. The back porch, that's the closest of friends. That's the family friend. That's the ones you can count on one hand. That's what you are. You coming to the show tonight. You are on the back porch living. You can pee off the back porch. Front porch might get you in a little trouble unless it's really dark. And don't say you hadn't done it. So if you say that, we're gonna know you're not like us. You ain't like us. But it don't matter if it's man or woman. It always happened off the back porch and the front porch, I'm sure. But I love Friday nights. I mean, for those that work through the week, Friday night's great. During have those wonderful spring, and the weather's getting a little warmer. We're getting a little bit, little temperature there, just enough, a little light breeze. It's been wonderful. You can do your. This is getting into the weather where you can really do your fire pits and stuff like that. And then before long, it'll just be the time will change. We'll have this not this light all the way to 9 p.m. or something like that. And it'll just be until it gets brutal hot. And we'll be wanting it to be fall. But we may get hit again with some cold or some rain coming in. But back porch right now, and in some areas of the country, not so good. I get it. I like to think on the whole scale, not just where I'm at. And I know where you're at. There's probably still a lot of snow in some places, ice. It's cold, and I get that. We're just seeing a little bit early down here of some of that change, but it's coming your way. So snow will melt, ice will melt, trees will bud, and the hope of spring. Things blooming. Newness come from that deadness into newness, and just the world seems like it comes alive, and it's great until the bugs come out. You gotta have a zapper or something on the back porch for that. I have no agenda now. I want to talk about several things. By the way, I watched the duels last night, the Daytona. Caught the last one. I'll talk more about it Monday during the racing show, but the last part of the first one was wow, excitement. Then I caught the second one. Then I stayed and watched the Dale Earnhardt story where they went back after all these years and went back. And I'll have some things to say about that Monday night on the racing show. It's just my thoughts, and I'll wait for Dean and we'll talk about that. But that's kind of what I did last night. I didn't go back on the air. Just spent time with my wife. We watched that. We watched sports together, and and she liked that. But she was tired. That last few minutes of the Dale Earnhardt, she was nodding off. I said, "Give me 10 more minutes. I want to see this last part." And she's just like, "Oh," she was tired. It'd been a long day, but it's been a good day. So, except for Paul being sick, I hate that. Biscuit boy, you got to get strong, man. We can't have that. Cannot have that. Miss Jen, she's selling her house. Cat lady on the pet show. She's got a lot going on too. Y'all pray for her, and she's always a blessing. And others that have recently lost loved ones, it's tough. The grieving process. This lady is still missing, and I don't care. When someone is sick or someone's missing or there's violence or whatever, I don't know this lady. a lot of people are putting pieces together and saying they're a part of this. This person worked for this person. Okay, there may be some crappy stuff going on there, but at the end of the day, this is an older lady who is missing. She's been kidnapped. She is bled. We know that. They know that. And there are being demands for money, and there's a worry that is she alive or not? And man, we can pray. I mean, I wish her all the very best, and I hope they find the scumbags that they are, and it's a quick trial. I'll just say that. I'll say it that way. Can you imagine your mother, an 84-year-old mother, grandmother, being done like that? And tell me what you would feel like doing. I'll just let that lay there. I'm not saying we would. I'm saying we might. I'm saying we would feel like it at least. I'm for following the rules of law, but these people need to be dealt with. If this woman is dead, they need to die. I'll say it that way. We can do that legal way, but that's a premeditated. They went in and did harm to her. I couldn't imagine when my kids, grandkids, my wife, my grandparents, my parents and grandparents are deceased. But boy, it burns me up. For somebody to invade, that's another thing. Somebody invade your home, invade your sanctuary, your castle, and harm an older lady like that. I'm telling you, I get furious at the thought of something like that happening. That just burns me up. And that's not a how's it going, my friend Cody? Yeah, it burns me up to think that somebody would do someone like that. You know, that just puts that little dot up on your head, like, it's like the Terminator. Like, and again, I don't care about politics right now. Find the lady, and I hope she's okay. I'll let the eternal judge worry about the rest. But right now, let's pray for her. It's horrible. If whoever's involved, again, I'll say whoever's involved, wherever it leads, wherever it goes, burn them down like the scumbags they are, evil. But yeah, your home to be invaded like that is absolutely it's horrific. Home invasions are very common, not always for kidnappings, but they come in on you to steal you blind and you know and honestly, it would be a lot worse if it wasn't that a lot of Americans practice their rights to be have weapons in the home and defend their castle. It would be a lot worse. I mean, in some areas of the country, they try to limit all that. They try to restrict, and that's only the policeman's job to have that. Bull crap. We're going to defend our home, and you have a right to do that. I always hated working at night. I did it. The main reason I hated working at night was because my wife hated to be alone at night, with the kids, and it was hard for her to rest good. I hated those times that it was just the way it was. Sometimes reorganization. Sometimes I got sent to nights, and I'd work to 8 to 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. 2 and 3 days in a row, and we'd always talk, right before she went to bed, and she would always tell me, I got the doors locked, the boys are fine, but she had called me, a few times, like, I think I heard something, probably was an animal, but that's scary stuff. And I can't imagine somebody coming in on my mom or grandma, or my wife. Ugh. We can, in a society, we cannot allow that to go. And nowadays, that's what we're seeing certain judges and prosecutors and other loonies give them a pass, like it's okay. Like, oh well, let's let them out on a no cash bail, and they go out and they commit another crime. We do got to get some things squared away. Now, again, I don't like that people dealt drugs or whatever, but we got people that were selling, marijuana that are on a 3 strikes and you're out, or serving life sentences, and we got people that are murderers walking the streets that going out and commit more crimes, and that's how mixed up it is. And listen, I like that the president gave some. Sometimes the pardons that's political favors, and it is what it is. You're either going to like it or not like it or whatever. But I like that the president is, or any president, but I do like that President Trump has given some of these guys that got in some trouble in their life a second, or maybe it's even a third chance, but he pardoned them. And I think it was five former NFL players that are very much older now, and hopefully they, have learned. I'm sure they had, looked at their cases and said, "Listen, they're being productive members of society now. Let's get that off, get that off of them." And I like it when it's used like that. When injustices have been done too, when someone should have been, not been, it was a, jacked up trial or whatever the case may be. When people are wrongly convicted and stuff, and they set it right. We got to have that because wrong things got to be fixed. It's got to be made right. Can't go back and fix what was wrong, but we can go and make it right. So I'm glad that he gave those people that. And I would say the same thing if that was Biden or Obama or Bush or Clinton. I don't care. Sometimes that's your only recourse left. There's nothing else you can do. You make an appeal to it, and they look at thousands of these cases every year. And at the end of their term, they usually go through, a heck of a lot of them. And, let's, again, just to be fair about it across the board, and occasionally, yes, you're going to get somebody's buddy who they were in business together and he was, defrauded his company or whatever. You're going to get that. There's no way to stop it. The president has the power to do that. But along the way, if we can do a lot of good, I can put up with a couple of idiots that got their chance too, that probably are just, bad people continually. I'll take that trade off to see some people get their life. Listen, there was a guy here in the Chattanooga area. It's only been a few years ago. It might have been during the first Trump, or it might have been the Biden. I don't remember. It was in the last couple of terms. He'd made some mistakes in his life, but this guy had turned his life around. I think he was a business owner. He was well respected in his community. He was charitable. This guy's doing everything. He's killing it as a human being and as an American. But he couldn't own a gun because of the felony conviction. And he didn't think it was ever going to happen. And he finally got the pardon. It's very emotional for him. And he just said, "Listen, I just wanted to exercise my right as an American. I did some things. I paid for it, but that was 30, 40 years before. People do change. Most people. Some people don't. But a lot of people, that normal people, you can, the stupidity of youth, are just coming out of a really crappy situation, and you're not using your brain because you're just not in a good place, and you mess up big. Sometimes you can't fix that, but sometimes you can after many years, and you've shown yourself to be consistently a really good person. Then you can I think you should get that chance. There are people in jail right now. There's still probably people in jail that are wrongly convicted and their cases need to be looked at. There are people that are walking around and they can't vote. They can't. And that was the other thing. He wanted to be able to vote and own the weapon, and they're unable to do that. And in some cases, the president can't do nothing about it. But in cases where they can, I applaud that. And it's not a perfect system. Sometimes you're going to get it wrong. But I think more than not, they get it right. These people are older, they're wiser, they've lived, a life now that is very pleasing. They've raised a family, they have grandkids, sometimes great grandkids. They deserve that. And so anyway, I'm glad he did it, and gave them that chance. So, listen, drugs are evil, and they turn people into something that they're not. I've lived it with my family and my own son. And that's not, when my son was on dope, that's not my son. That's somebody else. And he's one of those guys now. He's one of those individuals who will not be able to vote. He'll never won't be able to own a weapon or anything. And I hope, he's got a long road. He's got a, maybe it'll be long after I'm off this earth. Maybe he'll have lived that generations, 30 years or 25, 30, 40 years or whatever. And I hope he has that. Maybe he'll be on that list one. It may be, and that would, from above, if I know where I'm going to be, if the earth is still here and he's still here, I think that would be a great thing. Um, Well, I don't know if they're going to pardon him or not. There's a lot of talk about that. Um, but Pollock is one of those that uh, it's there's people are on both sides of this about that. I've studied this one a lot because I really keep up with things within American things within Israel, and there's a lot about that back and forth, and there's a lot of people calling for that to happen. Um, and there's others that are saying no, don't ever let it happen. So I think, and I was actually, it's funny you say this. I was thinking about this yesterday or the day before. It might have been the day before. And before, I think it was the day that the pardons came up about the NFL players. And I really believe at the end of President Trump's term, he's going to get something done on that. My gut tells me that. I could be wrong, but I think something's going to happen with that one. I do. We'll see, as the saying goes. Watchman, God bless you. How you doing tonight? Um, yeah, I do think this idea of it being a lifetime ban from stuff. That's you know, I mean, again, and I've said this again. If you pay your debt to society and you come out and you're doing well for multiple years, those cases should be reviewed. I don't understand why it has to be a lifetime ban. People's lives do change. And if your only recourse is the president, only so many people are going to get that. There are possibly a few million people that, I don't know what the numbers are, maybe hundreds of thousands. I don't know. But a lot of people's messed up. Again, you do change. Most people, not all, again, a lot of people change. They'll say, I'm not that guy. I love the Shawshank Redemption. I love that. And one of the things I liked about it was watching him go to his parole boards. At first he was, oh yeah, I've changed without a doubt. Now you can tell he was a nice guy, but they didn't believe that. Like, oh yeah. So he just later, when he got to the point, he's like, I don't really care, But that part where he says, I wish I could reach back and talk to the younger me, the 19-year-old me or whatever it was, and talk some sense into him. I think we all, in some ways, maybe we didn't commit a felony, but all of us, I'm 60 years old. You dang right. I wish I could reach back. It's a part of our life. It's part of it now. But if I had my druthers, there's a little bit that I wish I could reach back to a 19-year-old. I met my future wife at 19. There were some good things happened, but man, my life was a wreck, messed up. So many things going on. Parents, divorced, and it was just a lot happening. And I wish I could go back because there's some things. Hey, Dusty, there are some things in my life as I look back at 17, 18, and 19. I wish I could go back and talk some sense into that guy. Absolutely, even up to my early 20s. And just say, hey, time out, man, stop. What are you doing? You're usually pretty wise, but right now you're being stupid. And I appreciate the people that God put in my life that, doing good, brother, doing good. Appreciate you, man. Popping in here tonight from the great state of Ohio. I that's just part of those scars that we have. Some you see, some you don't. Yeah, they wanted to keep Andy in there to do their taxes. Yeah, there's some funny things to that movie, but it was a really well done movie, and it's and here he is convicted of that. He didn't do it, but again he was doing some things that he shouldn't have been doing, that he shouldn't have been doing, and so it was easy for because he was the one that knew, and so even he could look back. I would say he could probably look back and think, I wish I could talk to that guy. I wish I would do things a little different. Paula's in the hospital right now. I just texted with him right before the show came on. He has, I don't think he minds me saying, I've said this when I first came on, he has an infection somewhere. They can't find it. They know he has an infection, though. He has been sick for 3 days. Bad sick. He said bad. And they're trying to find a room for him. I don't know what hospital he's in yet. I'm not trying to bother him too much because he still feels bad. I'm telling you, if he's at the hospital, that tells me how bad he is. he's a tough guy. He don't run off to the doctor. I mean, he said he fired his doctor. He's been struggling for days and finally went. I mean, he's been fighting it. And he said, I've been in the bed. He said, I've been out of it. So it's been bad. So y'all pray for him. But thank you. Yeah, I do hope he'll get better. But man, infections are nasty business. I mean, nasty. Pray for Daryl this morning. Jerry Barrett, they was talking about their things that they've been through. They're mainly over them and getting better. But, they've been through a lot, man. I was reading that stuff this morning. I was like, my goodness. I knew some of it. I didn't know all of it. The medical things they've been through. Infections was one of those. Or maybe both of them had suffered through infection through the things they went through. It ain't nothing to play with. It ain't nothing to play with. I worked with a guy once. He was right near retirement. He was a maintenance man. And he was a diabetic, which not good. You got to really watch that. And he got a staph infection in his heel. Oh my gosh. They put it like a permanent pump, permanent for a few weeks, like 6 weeks. They mounted this pump to his leg, and they would have to, I guess, refill it or whatever. But it was constantly pumping in antibiotics into his heel to try to beat that. And he finally beat it. He said they were afraid he was going to lose his foot. And then he finally retired. But it's just nothing to play with. Yeah, let's see. That's a great line from that movie. Let's see what Miss Fuzzy Britches has to say. Then Warden threw the rocket poster, and they found Andy's tunnel. And he'd been chiseling away with that little hammer, rock hammer, for all those years. The only thing I don't like about that movie, I'm not one of those that tries to criticize every scene or not like that. But I'm sorry. I just can't let it go. It just bugs me so much. The scene at the end before he breaks out, he's coming back. He's got the suit on underneath his prison clothes, but he's wearing the shiny shoes. And they say that line, after all, how many people look at anybody's shoes? Nobody knows them. Man, everybody looks at your shoes. If you got new shoes, they know it. If you got muddy shoes, they know it. If your shoes are falling apart, they know it. If it's, if you put on two different shades of shoe, sometimes I've done that because I'm dressed in the dark. I've done it. People always notice your shoes. That's a bad line. They were looking for something to make it how he could walk in with those, but everybody looks at your shoes. That was a bad line in the movie, just bad. And I just never understood that. Yeah, he wore that rock hammer down to a nub. He sure did. It is a classic. It's a great movie, and again, we're seeing those guys after they have lived decades in prison. So you're not seeing the young guy that committed all the crimes. They were criminals. They did bad things. They killed people even, and or stole or whatever. And now you're seeing them at the end, and some younger ones. But these guys have lived through the worst of the worst. Nobody really bothers them. They're a tight group, and they got some favors. They pass along. He's running the selling the stuff in there and all that. And of course the dirty stuff is going on with the warden and all that, who's acting like Mr. Perfect Christian, and he's just a horrible guy. But but that happens too. I mean, that happens. Bad guards, the whole deal. And the movie's brutal. I mean, Andy is taken several times over his first few years. Sometimes he won, fought him off, and sometimes he couldn't. And he's having to live with that all that time. And then he hits that point where it's like, because the guy finds out that guy bragged about it. And the warden's got his boy right there. He don't let him go. And so he's at the point like, I'm going. I'm getting out of here. He sets his mind to it. And smart dude. He set all that up, walked into 11 banks and pulled all that money and headed for Mexico. And then we get to see the journey of Morgan Freeman's character as he goes and gets out on parole, but then he breaks the law and crosses out of the country. It's a great movie. Um, yeah, yeah, it was. That's tough stuff, and prison is prison is bad. I mean, there's just nothing good about it. And yeah, they've done things to get there, but we have a problem in this country where our prison systems are in bad shape, and really it's inhumane, and something needs to be done. And right here in Georgia, good old Georgia, our prison system sucks, and there have been people killed for crimes of drugs or whatever, but killed because somebody determined they didn't like them and they wanted them dead. And that, I mean, there was a prison near us. They finally got them fixed. They fired the warden, put another warden in there. The prisoners, the locks on the doors didn't work. They were understaffed at night. The prisoners would open the locks and go around and execute violence on people. And there were like 7 prisoners that were killed before they finally got a hold of this prison. That prison is not far from where I live. I mean, it's probably 45 minutes away, 50 minutes, something like that. It's not that far though. I mean, go down 27 and just run right by it. But I had a friend, his son was in the prison system for a while. My son's in the prison system there. Fortunately for him, he was in one really bad one, really bad. And he was got out of there pretty quick. And I could tell he was scared. And it's hard to listen to as a dad. He was just being brave, but he was scared. It was a bad place, and they even tried to scam me. Of course, I was ready for that, trying to say that I was to give them money and they were helping him out. And they had a story. I told him about it when I heard. I said, don't, we didn't give no money, don't say nothing, because he was only going to be there for a short time. But yeah, I got a friend, his son, who was in a major car crash and it damaged his brain. So he doesn't have the ability to understand sometimes. He can't handle conflict, and then he gets angry. And I mean, he's brain damaged. He was in the medical part of a prison. He's out now. He's out of state, staying with other people. And I think he'll end up probably in a place at some point. It's just hard for him to exist among everybody else. And, it's sad. I mean, it was a young man having a car wreck. Again, a young man making a mistake, driving really fast, and he's never been the same. But he was in a medical part of a prison here in Georgia. I'm not going to say which one. And his dad's telling me, I don't think he can live much longer in this place. He tried to get him out. He finally got out, but it was I can't imagine what he was going through watching his son go downhill. I mean, every time he went, he had new injuries, new bruises. And he's sitting in a wheelchair. He's just wasting away. It was a big guy. He's just wasting away. There's the prisoner in Fulton County, good old Fulton County, that had died. Old man, old. By the way, after that long, that guy should have been out. I mean, he was old. He was feeble. He couldn't hardly move. And I mean, the guy died with maggots and bed bugs all over him. Somebody deserves to be in jail. I mean, come on. That's what I mean. It's inhumane. And if uh, if a dog had, let's say, let's turn it around. If a dog in this had killed someone and they put him in a doggy prison, and that dog died like that, there would be people. They would line up in front of the prison to storm the gates to save the dog. That they would. And that's kind of where we're at. And nothing against being for dogs and rescues. We do the pet show, and I'm for that. Sometimes they put them down, and I'd say sometimes you have to do that. I get that, but I'm just using that as an analogy that people, it's like they're locked away and people forget about them. And really, honestly, there are a few people that care. There's a lot of people who don't, and they have a very hard opinion. When you're in that position and it's your family, maybe someone very close to you, it's hard to listen to that. Listen, I'm as hardcore as they are, as anybody out there, about putting criminals, these violent people, in jail. Throwing away the key that have just they've killed and raped and been violent for there's no change coming for them. Bad people, pedophiles, all that stuff. Yes, and execution when as often as we can for these murderers and stuff. But at the same time, we have a responsibility to that's justice. I mean, we have a responsibility, to kill them, and do it quick and all that. But you don't have a right. We, as a country, we can't allow ourselves to become into the torture and letting people, be in their own filth. And we have to be better than that. If we allow ourselves to become that, then we're doomed anyway. We're never going to be, we just become the lowest base of humanity. And then what does life matter? If we ever lose the value of life, we ever lose that, and life is like there are people that are so evil that it doesn't bother them to watch anybody die, tortured, killed. They laugh about it. Those, have a party. But most people that bothers them. I mean, there's something about it because we're supposed to be about life, and even when it's justified, it's hard for a lot of people to watch that. I mean, it is. But we have to be humane in how we do things. I like that Red wrote. Red was here too. Yeah, over Brooks was here, who committed the other suicide after he was released. Yeah, that was tough. That was maybe one of the most moving parts of the movie was to watch him when he got out, Brooks, because I was thinking that movie was by the time it started out, they were in like the 30s, I think, and by the time Andy broke out, I'm thinking it was probably 50s, it's late 50s, early 60s. Anyway, Brooks had been there so long. He's coming from horse and buggy to then cars, and he don't. He said the world done went got crazy. It's in a hurry. He didn't know how to exist in that. He honestly didn't. He just couldn't handle the pressure of that much change. You can imagine if you were in a coma, in 40, and you stayed in a coma for 40 years and woke up. I mean, the changes you would see, you're like, whoa. It would take a long time to adjust to that. And at his age, because I mean, he was supposed to be pretty old, uh, he just couldn't handle people hollering and rushing him, and he had no friends. Everybody knew he was dead. I mean, the birds was his friend. He had that little bird in jail. I mean, that was his friend, and he had these birds that was his friends. And it is a problem, not just for prisoners. When people get older and all their closest people to them die, you know, sometimes even their kids, and everybody's gone. Yeah, you keep making friends, but they're newer friends. They're good friends, but all the people that knew you and knew your story and knew your life, y'all had all these experiences together. They're all gone. It's a dangerous time for people. In fact, I just read somebody on my timeline was talking about prayers for their family. Their mother committed suicide just in the last couple of days. Older, lady had health problems, and she made a decision. So it's that is maybe the greatest line in that movie. Yeah, get busy living or get busy dying. Andy Dufresne. That's right. And I find a lot of because I don't think that anybody is immune from getting severely depressed. I think there are things that go on that maybe you can't help. And there are people online, it's more and more. Now I see people posting like, I can't take another day. I'm done. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. It's very distressing to see all this. I can honestly say in my life, my 60 years, I have never not one time ever thought, I'm done, with life. I'm very much love life. Even when it's at its worst, I appreciate life. I do. And I'm not saying, drugs can take you there, alcohol can take you there, mental challenges, chemical imbalances, all those stuff can take you to a place. Maybe for anybody. I had a good friend, and he's much like me, and he got into a funk 20 years ago, and he said it took him, I think he said 6 months to come out of it. And he read the Psalms every day. He said, I just didn't want to live anymore. This is a guy that, he just got in a bad place. So I'm not saying that I couldn't when I say what I'm fixing to say. But I don't envision myself becoming like that because I have such a will to live, a desire to be here. And, I got grandkids. One day, probably not too many years, I'm going to have great grandkids. And I want to be able to, be there for their weddings and be there to share life with them when their life and mine, sometimes they're busy, cats in the cradle, baby, but we're all close family. And I want to be there for that, Me and my wife, we've always challenged each other. There are things that we had to do, procedures we had to do, and all that. And we don't like it, but you know what? I want to be here because one, God's got a plan for me. Number two, I want to be here for my kids and grandkids. I want to be here for them. I want to walk. I'm hoping to preach some some of those weddings. They're just now. My oldest one, there's a couple I'm blessed to have in my life that are, I think they probably consider me maybe a grandpa. I don't know, but my oldest one that was born to my kids, 17, to be 18 this year. And so it's just now starting to get to that point where, may see some of that happen. But I want to live. I want to be here. I get up every day and I appreciate, like, you know, watching a sporting event with my wife or something. I want to watch another one. I want us to be able to go to the mountains again. I want to be here to watch, how things play out in certain situations. I want to see all the things that God's going to do that are great and mighty and all that. But yeah, get busy living. I think you have to do that every day and get up and go with gusto for life. And yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. There are days in our life that we honestly probably don't think we're going to make it through. It just takes the air out of us. It takes the air out. I mean, I think when you lose your parents, that's tough. That's some of the toughest stuff. To lose a kid, I hope I don't experience that, or a grandchild. I saw what that's done to some people that I know that lost both, and they were never the same. They lost their zeal, and it's tough. But I've told you I had a friend that was murdered. We were both 21. I was thinking about him a lot today. Well, one of the reasons I was coming back from this long, crazy drive to take the grandkid up to her mom, and I was coming back, and one of the songs, and I've been flipping around the satellite radio. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music and different channels, and this is the first time I've heard this song that I haven't really had some tears in my eyes. One of the songs and some of the album, like I showed the one album, the guy that I showed the album, we mowed the grass to get the money to buy the album. But we liked a lot of, I've told you we like ZZ and AC/DC and Def Leppard and all these bands. But one of the groups that we really liked, and it's crazy, teenagers. We was both 21. We liked the Alan Parsons Project. And that song, Time, oh my gosh, that's such a moving song. And every time I hear that song, I think about him, and it's very moving. I was rolling down the interstate, and it about got me. But I was, it's been a long time now. This year will be the 40th year that I lost my best friend in life, like a brother to me. At the time, he never had a brother, and I didn't have a brother at the time for many, many years after that. And we were brothers, and we grew up together. And we did a lot of stuff together, and I miss him dearly. And I was thinking, I want to go this next week and lay some flowers. It's been a little bit, but I was listening to that song, and it I don't really care what Alan Parsons meant about that song. I really don't even. It's not even all. I don't even know all the lyrics to it. There's something about that song. One, we shared that song. Here's two teenagers. It's kind of like that Tommy Boy moment when they're riding down the road. They're like, do you want to change it? Change it. Oh, I'll change. If you don't want to change it anyway over the song. Well, that's kind of like us. If people heard that and they heard us riding down the road, listen to that. But for us, it was just very almost like a meditation, like a reflective. And we both had things that we were struggling with at the time in our lives. Even though we were full of life and we had tons of fun, there were challenges. I mean, when my parents' their marriages broke up. His parents divorced. My parents divorced. As we were both very young when that happened. I mean, we were teenagers, and it was very tough. And then life started beginning to change. I got married. Then he got married. And there was some controversy on that side, and it was a difficult time. There was a lot of family struggle going on. He was killed by his own family, his uncle. And, I'm just using that to give you the backdrop to that song. Just meant so much to us with, leading up to all that. And some of it was already there. And then later, culminated with the death of my friend. But it's a beautiful song. And music is very powerful. It takes you to a place. Oh yeah, if you were in a coma in 2015 and woke up now, you wouldn't recognize the world we live in. Yeah, um, exactly. I mean, and like the Bible talks about, knowledge is increasing very quickly. I mean, it's flipping so fast, we can't keep up with it. I mean, it is the machines. It's maximum overdrive. They're kind of taking over. They can't win because God wins in the end, right? But they can't win at any point. They can influence. They can't win. It's all a part of the overall plan. But yeah, we wouldn't recognize it just in those few years, and before long, it would be a year or two, honestly, because things are changing so fast. I think I broke my straw. There we go. Good old Sprite. Um, but and we do not recognize sometimes. I mean, I hear about stuff and I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I can't keep up with it all. There's too much knowledge that's occurring, and I tell stories. I'm kind of a storyteller, and I tell stories at work and stuff. Sometimes I'm sitting around with people, and there'll always be that somebody will say, I didn't know that. It's like, and they will sometimes they'll say, I'm really stay up to date on that particular subject, and I didn't know that, and they'll start researching right away. Like, wow, you've told me something I didn't know. Thank you, and I say it myself. But knowledge is increasing so very fast. Technology is taking us to places so quickly. It's affecting every area of our life. The battle, the war, the battlefield. It happens at first because they practice all this stuff in war. So a lot of that stuff was already in place before we ever it gets to us. And before long, I mean, we're going to have these. I don't know, cyborgs, robots. There's different names, different kinds. I mean, Elon, I think he's building an army of them, and I mean, it's crazy. The drones. I mean, uh, warfare now is drones. The sky's filled with drones, thousands and thousands of them. I mean, and now they have, they can hover around for a long time and just wait on you to make a move. Can you imagine? That's a whole nother. I made somebody mad one day talking about drones, and I said they had a drone. I don't have one. I thought about getting one just for the podcast, just for pictures and stuff and video. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We just haven't done it yet. But not to invade anybody's personal space or not like that. There's people it is, but I was because they would fly their drone, and I said I wasn't talking about them, but I'm just saying I'm going to tell you if anybody ever flew a drone up to my window at my house, drone is done. It's down, destroyed, and they got mad and said you can't do that. That's against the law. I said you call it what you want. You pull up a drone with a camera on it trying to peek in the windows of my house, it's over. Drone's going to be coming down. It will die a brutal death. There will be no rebuilding it. It will not be the $6 million drone. It won't be able to fly higher, run faster, or video, more. It will be over. If they want to get me, I don't care. I'm not going to put up with that. They asked, I said, they said airspace is we can go anywhere we want. I said, no, you can't. There's places you can't take a drone. You can't run over airports and stuff like that. You can't do it. And I'm telling you, you can't. If you're up high enough, yeah, you can fly over anybody's house if it's high enough up in the air. But you can't be coming down into window level at your house and flying a drone around and trying to peek in windows. I was like, I was watching my mouth. I wasn't worried, but I probably did make them mad. But I'm just telling you what would happen. And Americans are not going to put up with that crap. I'm telling you they won't. You might do it in secret and you get away with it. But once the camera, once they figure out what you're doing, it's incoming. Be like one of those World War II planes, it's crashing to the ground, smoke and fire coming from the back of it. You see the one about what was it, a farmer? And they were flying this big drone. He throws the pitchfork or whatever it was up into the propeller and just crashed it into the ground. That guy's my hero. That thing was huge and it wasn't that far off the ground. Just rolling up through his fields. He's like, okay, I'll take care of this. You dang right. I would do that. Oh man. It's funny the people that that, the people that want to say it's against the law is sometimes the people that break the law. Many times they say, you can't do that. That's against the law. But those people are the same people that will go and they will break the law because they do it according to their law, which is how they think and feel. And they think everything should be the way they want it. And they, they just want to gig on you and say, well, that's against the law. You can't do that. I think all of us, we see the direction things are going in our country. It's just like a little hiccup right now just to kind of stay it with President Trump's election again. He's making changes left and right, things that are prohibitive to business and, many, many things. But there is always that fear, like, what happens when he's gone? What if, Mr. Extremist or Miss Crazy or whoever gets in there, then we the pendulum totally goes the other way. And, at some point I'm a believer in following the law. However, if law takes you to a place that you can't do in good conscience because of the law of God or, morality or whatever, then I'm going to be breaking the law. And preachers and pastors have found themselves in this, maybe forever, but especially now because there are people attacking, especially people that are more known, mega churches and stuff, and trying to force them to do things that are against their, against the Word of God and against their church charter or whatever it is. And then they want to, try to bring lawsuits and stuff against them. You have to be very careful these days how you do some of that. Watchman said, yes, the Lord is revealing the hidden as he said he would, but so many look away. They do. And it's because people just they don't want to see it. They really don't. I've had people get mad at me when I tell them something they didn't know and it just shatters their glass room they're living in. I remember one time, and she was mad, but it just broke her heart. And it was I'm not going to name the artist, but it was a gospel singer. Great songs. And he came out, and I just sent a little quick email, and I said I forwarded this news story to her, and I said, "Can you believe this?" I got an email back, and she's like, just shocked, mad, shocked. Her husband later, I was talking to him, and he's like, "Dave, man, I know you got to share, but don't do it at 6:00 in the morning, man. My wife was mad all day. I mean, you just broke her. I mean, because that is her favorite artist. She has everything he's recorded. I mean, it was like she screamed like no, when she opened up that email, and it was like this whole day. I mean, she went from mad to angry to frustrated to sad and tears. It said it's been a hard day. He said, Dave, please next time let me know it's coming and wait till the evening bedtime or something, and I'll just go to sleep because it really. She told me later. She said you destroyed. I said I know it ain't your fault, but you destroyed that all those songs for me now. I can't listen to from them because I can't stop thinking about what they come out and said and really denying Christ. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah, the beast system is here. It's transhumanism. This will be with the people with no spirit vessels for the fallen ones to use it here. Well, let's think about it. The things that they're creating, godless, soulless creatures, built things, manufactured things that will be doing what is good or what is right in their own eyes, the eyes of the ones who created them, and they'll have the ability to make decisions to fulfill that mission to the fullest by the ones that created them. And we're going to, ones that are here on the earth at the time is going to be stuck fighting those battles, and it's going to be ugly. And we know it's going to be ugly. I mean, the scriptures talk about how ugly it's going to be. I'm glad I'm saved. Praise God. I'm glad to be a Christian. But, Christians don't get a pass. I mean, Christians forever been persecuted and killed, and there's going to be, more of that coming. More of it. This world is going to start eating on itself really bad. It already is, but it's going to do it a lot worse. I mean, it's just going to devour itself. Our only hope is Christ. The world will just really seek to destroy itself completely. It will be if the Lord didn't come back, it would. My belief is it would just totally go to so evil that there just would be nothing left. It would be just total death and destruction, and nothing. And the time between whatever was left to the last one died would be the worst of the worst. Um, I didn't. I have not read. I really. I heard you mention it. I have not read Watchmen anything about the Kurt Cobain, the Epstein files. I have not, and I'm not trying to avoid it, but I don't. I just don't go deep diving for that every day. Um, but I don't mind you mentioning. I just said, it's sicko stuff, and there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of stories, and probably nobody. There should be some people in jail already, but they're not. They probably won't do it. And a lot of these people are dead. Not all, but a lot. I mean, but unfortunately, they will face the Creator. But for the ones living, they're not being made to pay for it. I mean, well, a little bit of loss of money and prestige, and now they should be in jail. Only ones went to jail. Well, two, whatever happened there, whatever you believe happened there. But there's just sick stuff in this world, and it's always been there. This is nothing new. I mean, it just didn't happen with Epstein. I mean, this goes all the way back. Sin is sin. I mean, it's all the way back. Mankind has been evil, had the evil intent in his heart from since the fall in the garden, and that will continue until the curse is lifted. And it's sick. It's sicko. There was a movie, and I think I mentioned this before, and I don't remember the name of it. I was just a kid, and it was really a powerful movie, and the basic premise was like a lot of those type of movies. There's a group of people that are after this person, and they're kind of running and hiding from them. And at the end of the movie, it doesn't really to show you the end, but they're in a house, and it's supposed to be like a safe house, and they hear something. They look out. It creeped me out as a kid. I mean, it creeped me out. I don't watch a lot of movies like that anyway. And they hear something. They look out, and the whole safe house is surrounded by these people with torches, and they're just getting closer to the house. It's like they found us. They're totally surrounded, and it goes off of the thought is they're dead. They're doomed. And really, that image is really a lot like what we live in. The enemy is all around us, just encroaching on us and coming after us and getting, the noose is getting tighter, whatever you want to say. But the big difference between that movie and life is we have God, and He's He's the breaker of all that, and He will break it. And nothing can happen before His time. All things in God's time. But there's evil in the world, and He'll deal with it. And it will. We know the story. But that movie, I was like, wow. I mean, just how bad, horrible. Um, yeah, yeah, that's the name. That's the name. That was in the what was that? Yeah, it was mid 2000s, somewhere in there, mid 2000s. I want to say like 2005 or six or somewhere in there. It's horrible. I'm pretty sure it was around that time. Might have been a little later than that, but somewhere right in that time. And don't ever put you. And it wasn't that she put her faith in Him. It's just that we like entertainers. We like, and mankind will let you down, and sometimes in a very profound way. People that you think are good are not. And nobody's perfect. Nobody's good. The Bible says it. But there are people that are evil and do bad things. But sometimes skeletons in the closet are. But when they come out, when the doors open up and they come out, then it's shocking, and you're just like, "What in the world is going on?" And it really does rock your world. My sister, when she got married, I was there. In fact, our dad was deceased, and I walked her down the aisle. Well, she contacted me the other day, or our family, and there was a guy captured here in the Chattanooga area for murder. And her friend, his wife, had died several years before. She didn't know what had happened to him. Apparently, he's been on the run for over a year or two, because that goes back a year or two when she got married. She had no idea that he was involved. She just thought, some violence become her, and that he, you lose track of people and stuff like that happens. She lives in across the country, and she didn't even know where he had went, and all of a sudden up in the news they arrested him for her death, and she was like, he was at my wedding. We were all friends. I don't know what happened. What's going on here? I just like was glad that justice was finally served. That he was arrested for it for her friend. I mean, she said, I would. You just never know. You just never know. And this guy, I don't know the whole story of how he killed her or whatever. It's just pretty recent, just in the last few days. And you just never know. You don't know what happened. There was a lady that lived not far from me, last maybe a mile, and she got arrested for the murder of her husband. She buried him in the under the dirt in their. They had a garage, but it was gravel and dirt garage, and she just went to the store and bought lime and all that good stuff, I think, and dug up a 6 foot. I don't know if it was 6 foot. Throwed him in and covered him up. I guess thinking nobody was ever going to question, like, where's your husband? His family got to questioning, like, because she always had an excuse, that, well, he left, he moved out, we didn't get along, and finally they just got the authorities involved, and they come, get a warrant, and they come out there looking around, and it didn't take them long to find the body. She just living every day, driving up over the husband, the dead husband, with her car, come pulling in that garage. Cray. I mean, that wasn't far from here. You just never know. You got to be on guard. You really got to be on guard. Is it people you think would never do something? Oh my gosh! I worked with a guy. Now his was it was one of those things. It was a domestic, but him and his wife, I think they were getting a divorce. I don't know if they had already got a divorce. She got with another guy. And I don't know what it was about all that. Some guys can't cope. I don't know if it was something about the kids. I don't even remember now. Nice guy. We always friends talking. He's supposed to be at work on now. He goes over there and lays in wait. And he goes in and shoots them both. The wife, the soon to be ex-wife died. I think the guy lived. And he's doing 30 years. He's probably done close to half of that by now. And he's in jail down in Georgia, and I worked with him, saw him all the time. One of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. Never saw him angry or anything. You never know what's going to happen. Um, yeah, Watchman. But I'm just thankful of the good people around me, and the good Lord has kept evil away from me. But it has occurred. I remember once there was a bank that used to be, just at the end of our road. It's not a bank anymore, but it used to be. Well, I was at school, my dad was at work, sisters at school. I don't think my other sister, baby sister, may not. I don't think she was with us yet. She was not created yet. But the bank was robbed, and my mom was at home, and they got in a shootout with one of the guys in a little trailer park. It's not there anymore. It's a small trailer park. The smaller top trailers, not real bad. Maybe I had one or two of the big ones. It was a small little trailer park. I say small, it was even small trailers. Got in a shootout with that guy there. He got killed. But his partner ran down our road, and my mom, I don't know, saw somebody up there messing with the neighbor's car. She steps out, and this guy stares at her. She didn't know that was one of the bank robbers, armed to the teeth. He looks at her. He's stealing her car. So like he drives off, and she's trying to call the lady. The lady didn't even know he was out there and was trying, Anyway, the police got involved very quickly because they're looking for this guy, and they finally captured him. He stole that car, was on the run, but they got him. And next thing you know, the FBI showing up at the house, trench coats and all, and they were asking, just wanted to know what she saw, because they felt like, we lived right across the street. You see, so, matter of fact, I did. And she said the whole neighborhood was filled with SWAT. Everything you think of was out there. Everything in the kitchen sink. And they told her, they said, you're very fortunate. They said, he's a violent person. He would take it would not at all bother him to kill you. And the fact that you saw him, he it's just a miracle that you weren't murdered. And I was like, my mom was like, oh my gosh, this happened in our little quaint little neighborhood where we never had really a problem. And but crime came into our neighborhood, and um, because I don't uh, with a podcast I could be there's things I don't want to go into, Watchman. I'm not avoiding spiritual duty, but at the same time, I don't need the podcast to be in trouble for certain things. I'm on a lot of channels. I'm not just on Rumble or something like that, and I just try to leave that alone. It's not important that I name that. I mean, it's 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 well known now. It's not like so I get it. If you're sitting here in this seat, you want to make that call, that you do it. And that's why I don't do it. I try to stay away from. I've lived my life with trying to avoid naming certain things just because I don't want to deal with the hassle of that. Sometimes I will, but it's part of a story and tell stuff. But I just didn't want to. I didn't want to go there, and that's my decision. And um, you can say I'm not doing my scriptural duty or whatever, but again, I do. Sometimes you got to watch what you say because you can have ramifications even though of that. And we've already, we've suffered loss on this podcast of channels being ripped from us for a week, and we just mentioned one word. So I just try to be careful of that. I'm not, I'm my channel's not the one where you're going to get the brand, the cussing fights and the real filthy talk, and so sometimes I just try to keep names out of it, and I'll just listen. You knew who I was talking about, so so um, I've almost beat the number of contact phone numbers, and oh, really, I haven't seen any of that. So um, but it's like I said, there's a lot that's going to come out about this, but they're going to have to, you can do by association, but you have to have evidences of, and that's going to be the thing. What do you have evidence of? And it's sick. I mean, who all's involved? Like Mace, Representative Mace, you're going to be shocked. You would be shocked at the names that are redacted in the Epstein files, but they won't say them. They won't release them. So um, they'll never release it. Maybe after we're all dead and gone, 100 years from now, maybe 200. I mean, it'll come out eventually, but they're going to protect. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to protect the others, and because there's so many dotted lines to so many people in government and in high positions of power, they're not going to they're not going to release all of it. They're going to redact it, and even though they say they're going to do that, they're not. And listen, there's still things that go back 50 years ago that still, to me, I think should be by now 50, 60 years ago. I think should be released. Unredacted. I mean, the full JFK file, whatever they got, I think it should be rolled out. It's been long enough. All the controversial cases, people that are being investigated, every one of those, everything by now, those that go back 50 years, I think 50 years should be the max. Like 50 years, everything should be released. There are things that you don't release in close proximity of the time of the event due to you could put people in jeopardy, lives in jeopardy, who are maybe working covertly for us around the world. Absolutely, and I think there should be some people that know who that is, that are that make sure that we're treating it with the proper respect, and they have that. They've got people that they've seen it all. It's a small group, and but after so much time, unless there's crimes committed like this, then they should release all of it. I'm for that. But they'll never do it. They're never going to do that. It's all just hogwash. They're just going to keep saying they're going to do it, but they're never really going to release everything about it. So I just, I would hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think that they will. I don't think they will ever, in my lifetime, release everything on. Maybe even not even JFK stuff. They've released a lot, but they keep some back. And there's always the accusation that they've already destroyed all those records anyway that would implicate certain people. But if you were doing that, wouldn't you redo? Wouldn't there be like no mention? So some people, everybody thinks they've got it all figured out, and I think there's a lot of hits. There's also swings and misses on some of it. It's just the way it goes. I was talking to just someone the other day, and they believed 100% that the person who committed a crime didn't commit that crime. 100%. And was fighting it that way on a podcast. And in the end said, I got to admit, I was wrong. They did it. And they just could not fathom. And they actually took down all their stuff. Somebody I know, well, they took down all their stuff. They said, they were attacked by a lot of people because of the stance they were taking. And they're like, well, I'm right on this. You're wrong. And then found out, oop, I was wrong. So it does happen. It does happen. And, you know, that's just the way it goes. Some people, there's my boy Dean Potts. He's messaging me or texting me. What do you want, Dean? Dean's working this weekend, so let's see what. Um, he was telling me different people about racing and who's in the truck race. Because I'm not able to watch it right now because I'm on here. But he was telling me Tony's out. Tony Stewart went out in the truck race. So you got trucks, then you got the O'Reilly Series, and then Sunday, yes, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. I can't wait. I love that. I watch that every year. I try to watch as many races as I can, but I always watch the Daytona 500. It's going to be great. That was a fun racing last night. I get it, man. Yeah, I get it. Again, I'll say there's some things I just put on the air, but if somebody wants to talk to me offline, I'll talk a lot more. But sometimes it's just what I feel in my gut. And honestly, I was just trying to tell a story about it. It wasn't even about him. It was really a story about her. And that's what when I said that. So again, sometimes that's what, if I were doing a story about that, maybe I mentioned the name. The name to me wasn't important at the moment because, my gosh, man. And could we just say almost every CCM artist? We just have to start naming names. I mean, honestly, right? You know how sick it is. So if we're going to start with one, we're going to have to say all, and then we might get something wrong. And then next thing you know, and, like it or not, I mean, and I'll just say this to you, Watchman. My show is not, and it's not going to be, the hardcore investigative where we just take it. And there are other shows like that. And I go on those shows, and sometimes we talk about very controversial stuff, and I'll tell my opinion. This podcast is not meant to be. I'll tell news. We'll talk about it to a level, and sometimes we'll go down a little road on that. But it's not meant to be that kind of podcast. And because we're doing a lot of different kinds of things, and we're bringing different people on. And if I was doing that every day, I would never have those people on because they would never come on. So it's just different. That's like people that they get on to me like, I thought you'd be doing ministry every show about Jesus, and I mentioned Jesus and I pray, but I've done those. I've done tons of I've done radio, I've done podcasts, preaching and stuff for years. This was just started with a friend, and it was meant to be a little different. And we do that with our Sunday morning show, and sometimes we have other shows. We have preaching in and ministry shows. We do that, but we just have other interests that we want to get into. And so that's, it's kind of all over the place, but we're not a one topic podcast. Like we're not, this is not the podcast that's going to be covering Epstein, the case every day. That's just not who we are going to be. We will tell the news, and there are others out there that are doing that every day. And I go listen to them. I've got friends that's on Rumble. Most of them are on Rumble. And I go there and I do a raid on their channel, and I sit and listen and talk to them in the chat. And, they get into it hard and heavy, like Killer Carl, Angry Conservative, or Big Tony, and all those guys. Support them all. But that's kind of what they do every day. And, that's their niche in this whole thing. And mine is where I'm at. and I go support them, and we're all friends. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. The story was not meant to be going down and start revealing, who came out of the closet or whatever. If I did that, I'd never do any other type of show. I mean, really honest. If I came on here with a podcast and I was just going to talk about all the people who were enemies to the cross, I would never be able to cover anything else. Truthfully, never. It is what it is. So, I'm kind of like that in life. I'm not, again, I take heat for it. Apparently, I better not go there, but I'll just say that people, find fault with me because I don't call things out like others will. And I like to, I'm very reflective, and sometimes I might even come back in another show and go deeper in a story. But I said this the other day, I'm very analytical that way, and I analyze everything I do. And sometimes I like to take a little moment and think how I want to approach a subject before I do cover it. So in the moment, people are going, I want to talk about this. And I'm like, I don't. And they get mad at me, or they want me to rant about it, and I don't. And they come in the chat and they say, I don't like this show. Okay, I can't help that. They want me to, I mean, there are people who listen, they only want me to talk about one thing, or they want me to talk about two things. And I tell them that's not who I am. And there are plenty of shows out there to join in. And I appreciate everybody that comes in. There's people that pop in and pop right back out. They're like, I don't listen to this old guy. He's ugly, he's stupid, he's fat, he's Southern, he's whatever. He's wearing a stupid cowboy hat. I don't want to listen to him. And they pop back out. They go find something else. They're just surfing. And, I definitely, I think from the very beginning, I've ticked some people off because I didn't, at the moment, in the heat of it, go for the throat. I like to take time to and I'm not just talking about on podcast, in life. I like to take the time to evaluate how I want to approach something and say it. I'm not a loose cannon that way. That's who I am. And I'm reflective that way. I very much measure my speech, and I want to think of how I want to say it. I won't say it as crudely as some, and I'm not judging them. That's just not who I am. I'm not that guy. I'm not geared to be that guy. I love Killer Carl, love Carl to death. I could never do what he does. I can't be that guy. He can. I can't. I'm different than, everybody's different than everybody, but I can't be like a lot of, there's people as friends that were podcast friends that go on his show and other shows. I can't be like them. They're very much more, way hard into it. Hammer down, pedal to the metal. And, there's times I just listen, like I listen to you or I listen to somebody else. And when I don't stay on something and go real hardcore for it, then sometimes they're like, I'm not listening to you, and I leave, and that's fine. But that's who I am. And and people get mad at me. And I said this recently. Sometimes they come to me, they won't know how I feel about something. And they'll ask very difficult subjects. Sometimes I'm ready to say how I feel right then. Sometimes I'll say, I'd like a chance to pray about it and think on it, because I measure what I say. And then there's something else I have to say, Watchman, and I've said this too. And people can say I'm weak or whatever, but I have a family that I need to protect. I have a wife, and I have a granddaughter that lives with me, and I'm not going to lose my job. I'm not going to lose my job. And I'm in a position, if I bring embarrassment to my company, I can lose my job. And so there are some people, they're retired. They're this, they're that. They can say whatever they want, however they want it. They don't care, let the chips fall where they may. I have to think in those terms. I have to think about, and there's times I wonder, did I go too far here? Because I have to keep all that in the back of my mind. And again, that's another reason why I can't do a show like that. I can't just get up here and go on a rant and there's precedent for it. I had a good friend, a great friend. He's uber smart. In fact, he's got a little bitty small podcast. I need to reach out to him. I want to interview him. Great guy, military veteran, Southern, loves history, love this guy. And I don't want to get into the business of it too much, because that might be something I gotta be careful what I say, but I'll just say this. He said something, not on a podcast, but in to my understanding, in a comment section under a story, and they went after him. They went after his company, and he moved on. We'll just say that broke my heart. So there's precedent for it, and um, it's just um, I get it, Watchman. Hey man, I don't have a problem. Like I said, I'm say what you feel, but if you wonder sometimes why I'm not going and putting that up, or I'm not saying or not going all the way, that's why. And not that I feel like I have to say that. I'm just telling you that as a friend. That's what I'm saying. That's who I am. And I've been in some shows that got a little uncomfortable for me. um, I'm not here for the viewers, man. You see, if you think I'm here for that, I'm not here for that. And I get it. And what I would say to you, Watchmen, is please start one. And I mean that. I'm not being disrespectful. I would say start one and do that. Be that guy. And I'd come watch what you had to say. But you're not going to change what I'm doing or who I am. And I'm not looking for viewers. And I've said from the very beginning, I'm not looking for clicks. I'm not looking for viewers. I say very little about following us. Sometimes at the end of a show, I'll say like, follow, share. I actually say it in such a way you can tell I don't even like saying it. The only reason I say it is I wanted. I don't want. I'm not. I don't want really. I'm not looking for more and more people to follow me because I'm not geared that way. I want to have a good audience just for the interaction. I'm not trying to build thousands upon thousands of followers so they'll all be here making comments. Honestly, if this show was 5 times as big, I probably couldn't handle it. I don't have an engineer, and I actually would. There's a big part of me that likes to record the shows and just put them out there. The only reason I do them live is because there are friends, people like you and others that I've met, and we've become friends, and I want to interact with them. But there have been times when I have absolutely hated the chat, absolutely despised the chat, and I closed the show early because I just got sick of it. Because there's always those people that come around, and I hate to ban anybody. I really do. I've banned very few. I have, but I don't like to do it. It's just something about me. I don't like doing that. It's just like, please go on. Just leave me alone. Go somewhere else. And they just keep hammering and hammering and hammering. And I've had to because they were so vile and mean, and they called me names and my other family names. I mean, I feel like I don't want to listen to that. One guy got smart about my granddaughter being in the chat one night. Dude's gone forever. Like, are you stupid or something? She popped in to say hello to her grandfather. And he said, teenagers don't have and that's another reason, dude. I got young people that watch this show. I got young teenagers that pop in and watch. I'm family friendly, and there's a line I'm just not going to go over. That's not going to be who I am. I'm not chasing that, and it's not going to happen. I haven't done a news show in a while because honestly, it just goes a direction I really don't want to go, and it's just not the idea that I want to have. And I may do a news show, but it may be recorded, and I'm just not interested in that. Outside of being on live, I do a lot of deep dives and a lot of research. I always have. I'm not a news program. I do a news show sometimes, but I'm not a news program. I'm not an investigative reporter up here saying that I've studied this and we're gonna name some names tonight. That's not going to be me. It maybe one day in the by and by when I'm 75 and I just don't care anymore. Maybe I do. I doubt it because I don't think I'm going to change. I think that's who I am. And well, Watchman, come on, man. You say she is. I don't know what she is. I can tell you she's a friend. I mean, she that show was about her story, about her book. And again, I mean, I'm just really over it, man. I'm over that, and I'm moving on. I'm not even going to discuss it. And if I can't live to your standard, man, go find somebody else. I'm just going to say it. Love you, man, but we can talk music. But I'm done with that. You know what? If you want to start a podcast, start one. But don't. I'm done with that. You know what? I keep hearing about that. When I bring somebody on, I'm going to let them tell their story, and we're not going to like some things they say. It's their story. We've all got a past. We've all done things wrong. But I don't know what she is or what she isn't, but I can say we're friends. And maybe through that friendship, maybe I influence her for the cause of the gospel. Maybe. that's the way I look at it. See, this is the same thing, and other people have said the same thing to me about why I didn't or whatever say something. I get questioned on this all the time. And to each of you, I will say that don't like that. You don't got to stay. And I'm not saying in a bad way, but if this is that part when it becomes the debate or the attack, it's my show. I paid the dime here. I built this. I paid thousands of dollars to be able to sit in this chair and do it. And I'm not trying to live up to your standard or anybody else's. I'll answer to the king above for everything I do. And I got people that are, people in ministry that probably think I'm nuts, though, for even some of the shows that I do. I get the judgment comes from all sides. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to enjoy friends. Sometimes I'm going to tell stories. Sometimes I'm going to talk more ministry. Sometimes I'm going to be as comedy. Sometimes it's going to be sports. Sometimes it's going to be whatever. But at the end of the day, I paid the dime. I paid the dime to be here. I spent the hours to be in this seat. And if I can't live up to that standard that you think I should be, then I'm sorry. Not sorry. I mean, again, there's plenty of people out there that will talk exactly what you want to talk tonight and will go there and do that. And I'm not, and again, Broski thinks I'm defensive when I say stuff like this, and he thinks you're angry. I'm not angry. I'm just telling you facts. That's the problem with being a preacher. You can never live up to somebody's standard. You're always challenged on everything you do. And I've several years ago, I kind of washed my hands of all that. And my judge is Jesus Christ. And everybody else can have an opinion. And I would say if I don't live up to the standard that you think I should be, pray for me. And I say this with all sincerity, man. I love talking to you. I think you have amazing stuff to share. It is absolutely beneficial for me. But you're just hammering me on this, and I just say I'm really done with it. So I'm not even going to comment anymore on it. It's been a long day. I'm a little tired. I'm going to go spend time with my wife. And Dave's out, and God bless everybody. I got early morning shows in the morning. Pray for Biscuit Boy. Pray for my former work friend who had a death and very young, 2 small children. I'm trying to stop by the funeral home and pay my respects in the morning or before I go to work, and try to go catch some of the truck race. And everybody have a great night. That's kind of. Well, I'm not saying you want recognition, man. I have no ego. I swear I don't. I'm not looking for that. That's why I don't, we get good comments and we get bad comments. I can take them all because that's life. You put yourself out here for it. And, I just said, some people are going to judge me on every time I say, or whom or whatever. I try to be professional, good sound, good video. And there's been challenges that sometimes it's not good. My voice is erect tonight, but I am who I am by the grace of God. And, if I didn't do right, I'll promise you that this whole conversation I'll evaluate for months and years afterwards, because that's my analytical mind. We can talk about it on the shores of heaven. Everybody have a wonderful night. I am. It's been a really good day, but I am wore out. That trip through all that traffic just completely stressed me out and wore me out, and I'm sleepy, and I want to try to watch a little bit of the race, and then get up in the morning and do it all over again. God bless. And we got rain on the way, and I'll be doing security tomorrow from the old box store, and we'll be talking to people out there and putting some shows up, and I got a lot of work to do. And thank you, Cook, for buying the coffee and giving us that good little promo video. Appreciate you, brother. I don't think you're probably watching right now, but when you see this, I just want to say publicly, thank you for your support. It was very nice of you to do that, and the gift you gave to the podcast as well. Totally unexpected, man. That's awesome. There are bills to pay, and you will make a little bit of money, not a lot. Don't even pay all the bills, but we believe in have a passion for the dream of doing this show, and it's been a tough last 4 months. It's been tough. There's times I question whether I should even keep going, but because of listeners and because I enjoy it, and because of my wonderful co-host, I will continue. But it has been a challenge, and I'm not talking about in podcast world. It's been a challenge personally in my life, my wife's health and everything. Y'all pray for her. She really needs your prayers. She's hanging on. She's doing all right. But you had to redo some things. It's been a lot of and my son being in prison, that's not easy either. But I'm no more special than anybody else. There's people out there got a lot worse things going on than I do, but we all need prayer and support, and appreciate all those who do pray for us and give us a kind word. I get comments all the time, just thanking me for being there, and I'm like, wow, okay, that blows my mind that anybody would watch anyway. Why would? And you talk about numbers. I was trying to think when we talked about numbers. I would tell you, they grow a little bit. Like we got like 14, 0. What is this one? We got a couple 3 here. So it's about 17 and 18. And there's a couple of them I can't see. So maybe we may have 20 watchers, not 20. So if I was really driving for viewers, I'd be mad tonight. But listen, each one of you have taken time to come in here, and some are new and some have been around a long time. I say thank you. Hopefully you got something of value out of it. If you didn't, I'm sorry. But have a great night. Let's go. I'm going to go out with this Southern Talk song. It's not the Southern Talk show. I'll do that tomorrow, but I like the song. Have a blessed night. Well,
it's a complicated life for the Southern people. Like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong. Don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except the weather. If you can't